Divorce nak tanya apa?
What did we want to ask about divorce?
For Muslims, it's Sharia Divorce, okay, and will take place in the Sharia court. For non-Muslims, will be in the family justice courts lah. So long as one party is Muslim or you've been married under Muslim law, the divorce will take place in the Sharia court.
Okay.
Questions that usually arise, for example, a number of female clients who come to me and they say that I want to divorce my husband, but my husband, quote and unquote, because it's so commonly said, my husband tak nak lepaskan. They feel that they are bound by what their husband says and that they have no way out, okay? But then I tell them that yes, it's true that the husband has the right in Islam. He can dissolve the marriage through pronouncement of talaq. That's true. But that does not mean that the wife does not have any grounds that she can rely on to seek a divorce herself. There are grounds under Sharia law. So the wife can go to court, prove certain grounds like breach of taklid, fasaq. Okay, so breach of taklid, kalau you look at the back of your marriage cert, ada dia punya condition. Singapore very good kat belakang marriage cert have the condition. The next time you all attend a wedding, attend a nikah, dengar betul-betul, okay? The Qadi will ask, in the event I leave my wife or
ini.
Okay. And if you can show that your husband has breach this condition, you can prove that, then that would warrant the dissolution of the marriage, like the divorce. Or that in the administration of Muslim Law Act, there's a grounds called breach of fasaq. If you can show, so for example, you can show that the husband has been cruel to the wife. What is meant by cruelty, it doesn't have to be physical cruelty, it can be verbal. If the husband continuously belittle or humiliate the wife, you have to be able to show. I do see that there are many instances where the wife tried to seek a divorce on these grounds, fasaq or breach of taklid, but eventually towards the hearing, the husband does agree to pronounce talaq. And there's also another means of dissolving the marriage through hakam. So hakam means each party has a representative appointed from the Sharia court to help to lafazkan. And now Sharia court also have if the husband doesn't consent, also directions can be given for the hakam to lafazkan talaq on behalf also. Not as many where eventually the actual grounds is based on fasaq itself. But it does happen in certain cases. So for example, like the husband totally MIA, the wife have to prove lah. Husband has not been providing, and then she has to bring her witnesses to be able to prove that.
I selalu dengar lah, the wife kan always like macam fed up tau, the husband never pay maintenance.
During the course of the marriage, it's called maintenance, the amount that's supposed to pay. There's two heads of it. One is called mutaah and one is called nafkah iddah. Nafkah iddah is lying from what our community calls nafkah, which is maintenance throughout the marriage. Nafkah iddah is after the divorce for 3 months following the divorce. So the husband is supposed to compensate the wife for that period lah. For X amount times 3 months.
Kalau ada anak tu macam mana?
Kalau child maintenance is not decided by Sharia court, you have to go family court. It's a different court.
Different.
Child issues in the course of the divorce, like custody, care and control, access to the children, it will be decided by Sharia court. Tapi if you want to decide issues of child maintenance, you have to go to family court. It's a separate thing. Yeah, and then comes the question, and I do see this quite a bit where the ex-spouses, they start quibbling over maintenance. Okay, so for example, the mother has care and control of the child, and the mother says that I won't grant you access to the child if you don't pay a certain amount of maintenance. They fight, so it becomes used as a bargaining chip, a bargaining tool already, right? So what's the proper way? It really depends. Sometimes the wife is the one who comes to me and say that the husband is not paying me maintenance, that's why I don't want to let him see the child. Or sometimes the ex-husband comes to me and say that, look, it's not like I'm not paying, it's just that she says I'm not paying enough. right? So I have been denied access to my child. What do I do? It goes both ways. There will be recourse either way. You know, there are two categories of those who default on maintenance. It's not always the husband. Sometimes care and control with the husband, and then the wife has to is seeking maintenance from the wife, right? But what I see is that there are two categories why they don't pay maintenance or enough maintenance. One is that really cannot afford. So cannot afford due to, let's say it's the husband, let's say change of circumstances. After the divorce, he has lost his job or something happened that has caused him to deplete his savings and finances. So he's not able to sustain in the same way he was able to previously. Really legitimate reasons. But then there could be instances where just don't want to pay
Yeah, exactly.
right? But recently, Family Justice Courts, they changed the rules slightly. Okay, so it used to be if the defaulting party doesn't pay, I'm not saying that it's always the husband, but I just give an example. So let's say husband doesn't pay, then wife have to go to family court, file for maintenance, and then husband pays for a few months based on the maintenance order, does stop paying again. Wife has to come back again to enforce the maintenance order up and down until the wife so tired, then give up already, forget it. This man is not going to change. I'm tired already going up and down to court. But now, family justice courts have tried to make it more beneficial to both parties. So there will be recourse for penalties basically on those who intentionally default. So now the court can direct for for the relevant authorities to provide information on that person's income. Okay, so if you can pay and you're not paying, that could eventually even lead to imprisonment. So penalties are a bit heavier hoping to act as a deterrent, not just suka-suka, just don't care about the court order.
When you say default on payments, somebody monitor this, or is the...
So let's say the wife applies for maintenance and then there's a maintenance order, and the maintenance order will say, okay, I'm commencing from which month the husband is supposed to pay, or pay X amount to this and this account. If he defaults, then it's for the wife to take the necessary step. I mean, there's nobody who's going to want it. And though they do have orders, if there's a lot of breaches, the court will fix a date that he's supposed to come back in how many months time to show that he has paid and all lah.
Yeah, I thought ada.
But not to actually.
Macam gyro.
That's why.
So that's for maintenance lah. Then for wife maintenance, the wife is entitled to maintenance from the husband. After divorce, she's entitled to nafkah, iddah and mutaah. Nafkah iddah, how the Sharia court calculates is X amount times the length of the marriage. So if the marriage, example 10 years, so is 3650 days times X dollars. So an amount times that length of time. So as to how much X is,
yalah, baru nak tanya.
there's no hard and fast rule. There's no 5 years of marriage, X amount. No. Okay, it really depends on the financial means, the income. Okay, income and financial means not the same, because some people, they have a certain amount of income but they have a lot of debt as well. So it really depends. And then the court will also look at the contributions of the wife throughout the marriage. Contributions are assessed in various ways by the Sharia court. You have your financial contribution. That means if towards the house, there's the how much you pay every month, the mortgage, there's the bills, and then there's also the non-financial contribution, indirect contribution. The indirect contribution is basically the unpaid labor lah. And while it's not the case that husband's indirect contribution is zero, it can be 50-50 also. But for long marriages, especially where the wife is a homemaker, for example, she's been a homemaker for 20 years, taking care of 4 children, right? So the court may accord a higher weightage to her based on the indirect contribution part, because she has taken care and raised 4 children. So the court is aware that recognition ought to be given to homemakers, because maybe you're not putting in the finances, you're not contributing in that way, but there are other contributions which ought to be factored in also. So if you have any questions or what, can just ask me lah. Any other questions?